Hello, everyone. Welcome. Yes. So thank you for joining us. I've scheduled an hour for this, but we should be done in about 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Thank you for coming. I'm just going to ask my assistant, Heather, how can I see when everyone's in so we can start? Oh, we've got 72 people. Great. Just going to wait a little longer. And while you're joining us, I do want to thank some people who made this happen. Alan Fine is my LinkedIn coach, and he invited me 3 weeks ago to say, just do a seminar, put it out there, let people know what you do. And he was also part of the inviting you through LinkedIn, so thank you for accepting the invitation. I also want to thank my marketing coach, Jeanette Anderson, and she helped with the content of the presentation and also to share her VA with me, and that is Heather, who is helping me right now. And she's a Zoom expert, so I'm very grateful. Okay, just trying to see where everyone's at. Give everyone a couple more minutes. Great. All right. So let's begin. Once again, thank you for joining. This presentation will be about 5 different tips or tricks that will get you started in the calling or refine your process of calling to get you 12 meetings per week. Oops, there we go. So you will get a template and outline on how to do an outbound email, whether you do it before or after your calling. And you will also, there will be some coverage of the list itself and how to build one or different subjects around that. And lots of templates to keep you organized so that you have a structure of, when and how to call, keep you on track. And last but not least, the most important element will be your script. So once again, just want to congratulate you for showing up. There were 360 people registered, and I think we're up to 120, so good for you. I think there might have been 20 who sent me individual emails to have this recorded so that they can see a copy after. So good for you for showing up. That's just the kind of person who will actually take this work and make it work for them. Once again, the goal here of this is to get you 12 more appointments per week by your calling out to make that happen. A lot of people think outbound calling doesn't work, but it has been working for a long time. It's probably originated by door knocking, and then once phones were created, then people used the phone to get to have an interactive conversation with people. So it's a classic. So the reason why you would want to use this as part of your marketing mix is it has been proven over time and it is reliable. So stick with it. And I also want to invite you to stick with this presentation till the end, because that's when the best part is around scripting. So you may already be doing calling. I looked at all the registrants last night, all of you. So you already do calling in some component, about 60-70% of you. So the intent of this would be to have you shine even brighter within what you're already using. And that would be, again, more of a call structure. It might complement what you already have, might be a little different. Certainly different qualifying techniques that help you close more. And again, more tools. You probably get, I think, 5 tools in this presentation. So our intention was to put them in the chat. And I just want to check in with Heather, are we able to put that in the chat when it comes up, or are we going to share the tools with them through Google? Great. So yeah, stick around. I've got a lot to offer in a small period of time, and there is a special offer at the end, so just for today, just for you. Why do outbound calling when there's other ways to do marketing? The main reason is you will hear from your target market what they think. So you get, from the horse's mouth, you will hear from them what they think of you. Sometimes that call can be a survey call, so it gives you the idea of who they're already using, what they think about either the subject of what you promote, or about your brand. So you're going to get a lot of data as part of that call. And how valuable is that? So it's kind of a lot of things as one. It could be a sales call, could be a survey call, but you'll get an idea what your market thinks about you or your product or service. Some of the reasons why people don't call is this notion of rejection, which is simply someone saying no. So you've all been on the other side of that when you say no, and sometimes it's because it's the wrong, not a good time to talk. Sometimes the person presenting pauses too much in the beginning and you're already gone, right? So sometimes they just don't understand what you're saying, especially if what you sell may not be a simple concept to understand. So when they are saying no, some of the times it's a no, not now, later. So it's really important to know that instead of, let's say, asking for a meeting right away, you might want to ask to give them more information and educate them more so that they would have more information. Because what they're saying no to isn't necessarily your product, it might be something else. Why should you listen to me? Well, I have been doing this for 25 years, and I really do care about connecting with people. I think that it's a bit of a lost art to, reach out and be vulnerable, and, I certainly know what it's like to be in your shoes and, be the first time to call. Sometimes it may not go well, but I know that it's worth it, because the few that you do connect with, you wouldn't have had them. You wouldn't have connected with them without reaching out. So, again, about me, I have a Bachelor's of Arts degree in French. I have a business minor, and again, I've just been doing this for a very long time. My background was I was working for not a call center, a recruitment agency. After my son was born, and I was really good at doing permanent placement calls. So that's where I discovered that there was a niche in the market for this, and I was good at it. I just had to wait for it to mature where people could use it en masse. So I guess this is what I do. So particularly the area around scripting, I really care that people present themselves the way they really are, and share what they have with the world. So. We have done work for Shell Canada. Siemens does, we have a campaign with them right now, calling hospitals and medical centers for their 2 different products, a urinalysis and we did a gas, like it's a needle prick for diabetes that gives a quick response mechanism. YKK does zippers. So we did a campaign for them, for companies that use their product. And Javelin does 3D printers and technology software associated with it. So why are you not making calls? These are some of the reasons people give. Interesting to know where you fall under this. I want to address two of them, and one is not believing it will work, the disbelief of the results. So that's not true. If you call 1,000 people, you'll probably get 100 leads, and 20 of them will be meetings. That's what our stats are across the board as a minimum. There are newer methods available, so sometimes people aren't using telemarketing as part of the mix because they're already getting leads through other means. And while it is true, other means will give you leads, why not use ones that are also tried and true as part of the marketing mix? Why should you do the calls? Get more opportunities, could lead to more money. Certainly increase your database, which I find to be one of the greatest values. Is they may not need your service now, but if they know who you are, you now have permission to market to them over time and go through that education process so they get to know you and start the relationship. And certainly by practicing presenting yourself on the phone, that skill of saying what you do over and over again is transferable. It could be in a what we call an elevator pitch, if we're not going in elevators right now. It could be if someone calls you and say, what do you do? Really get refined on what that is. And certainly in any kind of Zoom marketing meetings where you've got 1 minute to describe what you do. So you'll say it with more confidence with practice. What happens if you don't reach out to them in some sort of interactive way? They are currently using something instead of what you offer. So I like to call that your competitor. That might be them doing nothing. So I want you to get in the ring with them and find out who are they using, how is that working for them, is it effective? So you wouldn't know that if you didn't find out from them. You might get a yes/no from them, but in the call you'll find out where they're at. And so get in there and connect with them. Once again, it increases a lot of the skills and handling of objections. I think it gives you more practice to get them thrown at you, and then you can even go deeper and find out why people should buy from you. So, should you call during COVID or not? Well, we found higher reach rate. More people are at home, more now than ever. They're certainly more open and definitely more sensitive, and the need for connection is bigger now than it has been ever. So I think the human connection is a really big deal. So, but I do want to go back to higher reach rate. So people might not be in their office, but they're at home. They might be in their office, they've got their family in the background, the dog, that kind of thing. So they're really open to hearing you, less distractions. So the first of 5 tools I want to give you is a template on writing an outbound email. So the question is, do you send an email before you make the call, or do you send it after? If you send it before, sometimes the reason you want to send it is to warm them up before you make a call. I just want to say there's some, you can do that, but I just want to challenge you, why are you doing it? Are you doing it because it really does warm up the calls, or does it make you feel better to make the call? So it's important to just ask yourself that question. If you do send one in advance, the consideration of risk could be they might say no, and now you can't call them because I've said don't call me, I'm not interested. The other thing is the focus of your phone call might be, hi, did you get my email? And then if they say yes, no, yeah, I haven't looked at it, then the focus is send it again and the call's done. So bit of a wasted call if the focus is following up on the email. So you can send it before, but if you do that, you might reduce some of your possibilities in the call, because they might say, don't call me, I'm not interested. And number two, you may focus in your phone call on the email itself, and that's not necessarily the intention of the call. You want to have them have a meeting with you. So I recommend calling after you, or sending an email after you make a call. This chart reflects the laws around sending emails, both in the US, the CAN-SPAM, and CASL in Canada. So all I wanted to point out here is that you do need permission in Canada, or if you're sending to a Canadian business, permission to send them an email before calling, or before, so you need permission to send. In the US, it's opt-out. I do think it's a nice courtesy to call, even if you have their email address. You can confirm it in the call or ask them for it. So I think you'll see further on when we get to the script that I think permission goes a really long way to get you returns. It shows who you are. So this is what I recommend to write in the follow-up email to your call. Make reference to the conversation you had with them. I realize you might not have reached the decision maker directly. You might have received an email from somebody else, but make reference to that as the first line. This distinguishes you from sending it through a CRM, something cold. It's, John, further to our conversation with Jane last Tuesday. So it gets read. Next line or bullet would be something about who you are, what your company name is, what you do. The third one is tricky. It's what you really want to present to them. Why should they connect with you? And on that note, a lot of what we're doing at the very end of this session, the script, will be content you can use in this third bullet. The last one shows intention of what's the next step. So will you be calling them back after this email in a week? Or, will you send another email, invite them to call you? The reason why that's important is you might call them back, but then they know you're going to call. You may also find that by doing that, they will reply faster. So here is an example of an effective outbound email. This was sent to 160 people, and I think 45 people responded. That is a very large return. So I'll let you read that for a second. I just want to make sure that you can see, you get the template of this. Sorry for the delay. So I really want to know, Heather, are they able to see, are you able to put something in chat for them to get a copy of this? So I'll tell you what not to put in an email. Don't send an attachment that's very large. And if you do, one page, one PDF. The reason why it might get filtered, and you want to make sure that your first email to them is whitelisted, because then after that you have permission and you can put it in your CRM and send away. Don't use the word request. What I mean by that is in that first line, don't say further to your request for information. It's a very odd English word, but it really does mean them asking you to send it, and that's not what happened. They said yes to receiving information. So anything other than request, so thank you for receiving my information, here it is. But sometimes people would be upset saying they didn't call you, they didn't request it. And boring subject headers, I really want you to get response from the email. So what worked, something that says more about the effectiveness of what you do, not further to your conversation or benefits, but just say what it does for them. So I think so that's emails. Now we're going to talk about lists. So again, I do have a template here for the SIC lists. And I just want to make sure you can see that. We were having some trouble before about getting it into the chat. So just want to ask Heather, is it in the chat? Can everybody get a copy? Oh, okay, yes, here it is. Okay, there you go. Okay. So, the SIC codes indicate what kind of business it is. So it could be a baker, it could be a restaurant. So I'm suggesting you pick 3 industries that work for you as part of building a list. So if it's 1,000 names, pick 300 of each. The other way you can use lists is by industry type. So you can say retail or construction. So those are two ways of getting the kind of the industry out of the way. Employee size 1 to 4, 6 to 17. You know, what's the number of employees that is the right market for you? Certainly it might be anybody and everybody, but we're talking about narrowing to, you know, what's a more ideal size. Cities, states, provinces, take a minimum 300, we said that, and see if the CO is reachable. So what part of the list can be is certainly, let's say 50 employees, 40 to 50 employees. It may not be easy to reach the CEO of those companies. However, in sizes of 5 to 20 employees, you may be able to reach the C-suite. So consider reachability as part of building the list. Where do you get the lists from? I use directories. I use Info Canada, Info USA. I will say that there's a lot of sources to get them from. What you need out of a list is a company name, phone number, contact name, not necessarily. Industry type website is helpful, email address if you can, but really company name, phone number is all you may need. I want to talk about the quality of lists. If you go to a list broker and they give you a quote, try and get 10 to 20 names from them and call those names. If out of 20 names, more than 2 are not the right phone number or the right business, it's not a great list. You should be at 90%. So, you know, maybe 1 out of 10, or 1 out of 20 being wrong. So test that, please, before spending money on a list. There's also other resources that you can build lists on in terms of phone numbers. I have a fellow working for me, Akesh, out of India. I hope he's in the call. And so, you know, he will take let's say you have a website or something where all the information is on, just manually putting it into a spreadsheet for you. And so I do recommend putting it in an Excel spreadsheet. Once again, when you think about lists, use your existing clients as an example and reverse engineer, you know, how many employees were in their company, what is their industry type, where are they in a large city or something smaller? So it'll help determine, you know, your location for that list, employee size and industry type. Of course, not without, you know, depending on, you know, how many no conflicts of interest. Of course, you have your key clients. You don't want to upset them. So, but it gives you an idea of that avatar for the list part. And when I say know your client avatar, that's a completely different conversation with a marketing coach. And that person will tell you more about the demographics, gender, age, where they spend their time. Why that's important, it just gives you a better picture for other marketing efforts. I will say that in some lists you can segment by gender, because it'll say Mr. or it'll say Mrs. So if you are marketing to women, that may be an effective tool. I say the low-hanging fruit because while I suggest 3 list types, one can be this ideal client, and then another could be the ones that you know will use from you. So the sort of higher volume, easy to reach, You know they'll buy from you, and quick turnover. So what we're trying to test when you make calls is which market group gets you what return when you use calling as part of the mix. So now you have an email, and you have an idea of lists, either how to purchase them or how to figure out your own code. So you're almost ready to start calling. I want you to get ready to be on track. When you make calls, if you have a mirror, you will sound better. So I do want you to think of a mirror or something as part of your tools, because your voice sounds better when you're smiling. So this is an example of a tool I use, and again, Heather will be putting this into the chat, a blank one of this, so that you can use it right away. What I'm suggesting is that if you do 1.5 hours or 90 minutes of calling on a Monday, pick a day, and another 90 minutes of a calling another day of the week, and you do that for 2 weeks, you will get 12 leads. So the question is, how many leads, how many calls can you make in 30 minutes? I am assuming in this example, 20 calls an hour. It's fine if you're less than this. The purpose of this exercise is just to sort of allocate a day and then make it happen. And I do want to start really simple. It's 90 minutes. You don't do anything but that in the 90 minutes, and you do it twice a week regularly. I do have something called list A and B, and that just refers to, again, if you're starting this, maybe list A could be your cold list that you haven't called. List B could be clients that haven't talked with you for 2 years, right? So having different lists and measuring different lists for returns, I find helpful. So the tool is in there, and you can get started at that. If you really want to commit, you can do it March 1st to 15th and see what your results are like. Oh, there's my phone. That's nice. What you keep track of will get done. Also, it helps you measure, the success of you doing it. So, and more practice will improve your skills. So if you did 3 hours of calls a week, and you did around 20 calls an hour, and you did that for 2 months, it's only 24 hours, 24, 25 hours. You'd get through 500 records, you'd get 50 leads, 11 of which would be hot, and that's what I'm calling meetings. So you can do that. You could try to double that up, and then you could, let me say that a different way. If you did it at this pace, it would take you 4 months to go through 1,000 calls, get 100 leads, and 22 of those would be hot meetings. You'd probably get more. So again, it depends, how many you think you will get in half an hour. So, I mean, it's 2 leads an hour, whichever way you do it. If you, I guess, did that so if you double it up another way, if you did 6 hours a week, then in 2 months you would have those results. 1,000 records, 100 leads. And I really love these 100 leads because you can put them now into a CRM and market to them and educate them and inform them and keep in touch. So the conversion of that 100 over time will be greater than these 22 hot ones. So I'm not dismissing the people who say yes right away to meeting, but out of that 100, how many of those will you convert, depending on what you're presenting to them? Another 20? Another 30? So again, I just want to stay with this. How many calls can you make in 30 minutes? And what would happen if you had one yes per 30 minutes? I just want to go to the chat here so I can see what people are saying. Oops, sorry. Ah! So, if you did, if you stick with it, then you'll get 12% return on your investment. So for every 1,000 people called, you will get, 20 meetings and 100 other leads to follow up with. There you go. It's a slow way to get to it as an individual. So I do encourage you to stick with it, even if it's for the 2 weeks, not 1 week, but 2 weeks. You do need to make enough calls to have the returns. There's kind of a bell effect. Some will, some won't next, but you need a large enough sample size to give you the return. So you might get 3 leads in a row one time, and then 2 hours of nothing. So this is to say, stick with it, stretch it out. You wouldn't go into a workout and then 10 minutes later stop the workout. You just finish the commitment to that time to get the benefits of what this system will give you. So yeah. Now, what you came here for, or what the final tool is that will really hone this in for you, is the script. So I have already given you the tools, the email, the SIC codes, how to build a list, and also tracking. So the question will be that, some of you will do this, some of you already are. I will say that for the problem that exists is that sometimes a person isn't interested in doing it. It's not always the what people prefer to do. I mean, I like doing it. Our team of callers like doing it. So, will you use these tools? So the other element is that if you're very close to your own subject, so when you present yourself or your benefits, it's not coming from the outside necessarily. So sometimes it's helpful to have an outside source really say what your benefit is to your market. So having people on the outside can see clearer sometimes than yourself in terms of what you offer, being myopic. And again, without some sort of schedule or accountability or a calling buddy, we may not do the work. So what I offer as a solution is to get 12 leads a week. So our team and myself can help you get that done with that support. You will feel better after you do it. Certainly we're going to get a high converting script. So again, this last point is to say that you are experts at what you do, and I really don't want to hear or see that you're calling 1,000 people to get 100 leads, even if you get 200 from it. I want to see you calling those 100 and 120 that can be sifted for you from a company like ours. So your time can be spent still doing calls. You still have 120 calls to do over 2 weeks, but they are on warmer leads. So that's the other reason why I want to show all this, because you still will always need to do calls of some kind, of some type. So all of these tools will help even for warmer calls or leads that you get through other channels. So I have come up with an offer for you that will help you achieve this, because I really want your 2021 to be extremely successful. and that you know, get in touch with your clients and get more of them, so that they, I guess, you know, they can use your service. What I'm offering is, this is what it would look like. It's a script crafting session, so one-on-one with me for an hour, and we would be going through, you know, a template, bit of a system of really why is a person going to meet you? What is the compelling reason? And fine craft those words so that it can be presented early in a conversation. And why? So one-on-one session, and then I go away, refine that script, really go over what I've used before, come back for another 30 minutes with you, and just to make sure that what we're saying in the call will be accurate information, and to your kind of speech, your presentation style. So this is the most valuable thing I offer in any of my calling campaigns. And since this was my first presentation, I decided to offer it as a discount to get you all started, because I really want to work with all of you one-on-one, to make sure that the things you're saying, how you're saying it, really is the most powerful way to present who you are to your target market. So today you can get it for $199 US, and that is the link to get it at. I think Heather's putting it in the chat. So please, I'm going to give you some time now to commit to getting that done with you. So you have, and then after this, we'll go into the script. So I'll just give you a couple minutes here. So thank you for registering and taking advantage of that one-on-one session with me to help your script work out. Some of the reasons why people you know, don't believe in calling again is they think that it won't work for them, or that everything else they're doing does work. I really want you to consider just adding this tool to your toolbox. And I have a very short video here, so I'll give you more time if you haven't already registered. Once again, I'm really looking forward to meeting with you.
Let's be honest, cold calling can be tough. Even the best salespeople in the world don't really enjoy that much rejection. But there are a lot of businesses out there who really need your products and services. They just don't know that you exist. Cold Calling Co. specializes in helping B2B clients reach targeted prospects through effective and efficient phone prospecting campaigns. Whether you're interested in opening up new sales opportunities, following up on existing prospects, or increasing attendance at your events, we're here to help. Some of the most common reasons we get hired are to increase sales leads and opportunities, increase attendance at events, promote and launch new products and services into the market, and making highly technical calls for software and technology companies. Regardless of why you need help with your calls, Cold Calling Co. has you covered. So focus on what you do best and leave the phone calls to us. With more than 500 campaigns successfully completed, our team has made more than 500,000 cold calls. And we've been in business for more than 25 years, so we truly understand the phone prospecting business. Telemarketing is a numbers game. Even if you're great at making calls, you still need to make a large number of calls to generate a good number of qualified prospects. The goal is to seek out the best opportunities from your prospect list. So rather than have your best salespeople looking for leads, why not have them closing more sales? Your sales team will thank you, and so will your bottom line. Telemarketing sometimes gets a reputation for using inexperienced callers or outsourcing overseas. Our cold callers are 100% North American based with English as their primary language. Mature sales professionals with as much as 20 years of full-time telemarketing experience. Average length of time with our company is more than 10 years, and our team members average 25,000 to 50,000 calls annually. Nothing beats experience, and we've been at this for a while. If your company could open up 50 to 100 new conversations in 1 week for your sales team, do you think that would be a good investment? Try us out for one campaign, and we bet you'll use us again. So what are you waiting for? Call us today for an initial conversation. We'll look forward to speaking with you soon.
Okay, so let's like get to where what you came or this is the special this is the script. We're talk about what you're gonna say on the phone. So yeah, this is definitely a picture of locusts. So sometimes people think before they call out that the reason they don't call out is that you're bugging someone or interrupting them, that kind of thing. And I want you to know that getting into someone's you know I guess space, life, work, with a solution that helps them is absolutely not bugging them. It is solving a problem for them they might not know and most likely don't know they have an alternate solution to. So, really important to have the mindset going into your call that I said help here, but I mean you're solving some kind of problem for them, or else you wouldn't have spent the time going through getting a list, getting ready to call them, getting an email prep. You wouldn't do all that unless you knew it has great value for them. So the reason for your call is to be in front of them to hear that. 5 basic steps for every cold calling script. So the building blocks. Again, I don't like canned scripts, so long as there's a structure, it can be used at different places. I'll go over what this is, and then I've got the template right after that we can take a look at. So, very quickly, none of the hi, how are you doing today necessarily off the bat, but hi, it's Veronica. I'm calling with Cold Calling Company. I'm looking for the person who oversees your sales department. I usually talk with the business development manager or the marketing manager. Is that you? Is that person in? That kind of direct line. What you're calling for, who you are. So what do you want out of this call? Now, I originally called this the close. So do you want a meeting with the person? Do you want an email address? Do you want them to, have permission for you to be in touch with them months later when it's closer to possibly their time of buy? What do you want to get out of the call? So most people want meetings, and then the second one would be, I'd like to look for maybe the people responsible. There might be many decision makers. That might be the goal of the call, to find out who is the person responsible. The reason why they should meet you and why they should meet you now, I'll address on the next slide. That is the main reason to meet with me for that promotion, is to really drill down on not only what you call benefits or features, but also, what's the real reason they want to spend time to talk with you or go to the next meeting of level? Why, in a very short, you know, period of time, you have not just the words, but the tone and the intention to say, for them to get that they might get some value from you, because it's unlikely that in a call they'll understand 100% what you're calling about, but they will get a sense from your call whether you are an expert in it, whether you're passionate about helping them with it, and whether or not there's something in it for them to spend 15 minutes of their life on a phone call or a Zoom call with you. So you do need to give them a reason why they should meet with you, and now versus later. Permission can be peppered through the entire script. So I often say it early on. It's Veronica, I'm with cold calling. Is now a good time to talk? It can be done certainly after, as in when is a good time for us to talk again? So I've just said what I want to talk about. Do you have a meeting calendar that we could book something in? So part of this permission can also be these trial closes of, I do want to meet with you. How does Tuesday sound? So permission can be throughout. And you also want to make sure that they're engaged with you, because if they say no, not now, maybe book another time to talk with them. And if they don't want to book it, let them know when you will call them back, and call them back at exactly that time, because that will show who you are. Just like showing up today shows who you are. So what you're trying to show in the script, in the email, and everything is the character of who you are, so that they can trust and rely on you to deliver whatever it is we're talking about. So really they're trying to screen you. Don't push in the call, right? If they're not ready to meet yet, then respect them, and that'll go a long way when they do convert. The opportunity at the end here is for more questions to ask them. So if you were to ask 3 questions, if you wanted to know 3 things from your market, what would it be? Because you can't interrogate them, but after they give you an email, you have the opportunity to ask a couple of things. So, do you mind if I ask who you use now? So who your competitor would be, or what they're using to solve this problem. How long have they been in business? Is that the answer to that an important answer to you? So work it backwards. Which answers do you find useful to know whether they're qualified? Here's the script template, and I'm not sure if Heather has put that in the chat yet. But I will say that all of these will be available to you at the end as well. And so there's the structure. I recommend printing it so that you can play around with it. Or so again, your name, who you're with, the job description or role, and the we do. So in my case, we do calling services for businesses who want to get 12 leads a week. That line can change depending on who you're calling. So sometimes that is the cream that will rise from the work of knowing, why should they meet with you and why now. So sometimes that comes up after the editing as the key line. And then if they say, yeah, go ahead, send me an email, that's fine, and we can touch base next week. I don't know who you are yet. I don't know if I want to meet you. And then again, you have up to 3 questions. Sometimes what I've done is just to be able to give you information that's related to your business. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions so I can send an email targeted, to what you might be interested in? It'll help me give you information that you want. How many employees do you have? Who's currently helping you? Again, it depends what you want out of the data. So then you have the option on the email to actually send them a document related to what they're talking about. Or if that's too difficult for you, again, just send that templated email, and then in the follow-up call or follow-up email, then send more data. And then what they were looking for. So it gives you more content on what to bring in your subsequent emails and calls. So that's it, folks. If you have any questions, you're welcome to email me, veronica@coldcallingco.com. Again, this is my first webinar, so thank you for your patience with me. And also, I'm far more interested in being interactive and one-on-one with you to hear where you're at. So didn't really have everything in the chat to be able to answer your questions. I know someone asked about, so what I'm saying is, please set up a time to meet with me, but email me first so I know what kind of questions, and then I can be available to answer them in that form. So, yeah, so someone asked about COVID, um, about how reachable they are. Let me just get the question. Has COVID changed commitment to official scheduled appointments? I find people are more committed to attending. And there's another thing to that. People are more flexible. So if you have, they might not come to that appointment, but then you can reschedule another time. So people are doing more life-work balance, which is actually making them, more healthy. And so they may be taking their daughter to a dentist appointment or, making supper. So the reason why they may not make the appointment might be more for personal reasons. So the more you can understand that and be empathetic. Yeah, I'm finding that people are still making meetings, absolutely, during COVID. Just want to see if there's any other questions, because I really would like to be interactive with you. So yes, you can leave messages. Actually, I want to speak to that, and then I think we'll be almost out of time. I don't recommend leaving voicemail messages for the first round of calling. So if you call once, maybe call a second time, maybe on the third time, you could leave a message. It depends how available you are for the return call. So, and how ready you are to receive that call from them when they say, I'm returning your call. Yes, you can leave messages. I just think, your return on that does depend on your availability to pick up the call. But yeah, that can work. I would say the returns might be 2% to 4%, so it may be worth it. Let me just see what else we've got here. 401k plans or health care. So I'm not sure I understand the question, so I'll get back to you, Mark, on that. And yeah, so you'll get the voicemail script. Castle, in terms of mass email outs. I'm not going to speak to the Castle part, but there's some certainly restrictions even in, Infusionsoft or Kartra, MailChimp. I mean, they won't let you do some mass emails from that. There's restrictions in that. So I'll have to find out more about the details around that, Mike, and get back to you. Great questions. If anyone has to leave, that's fine. I just want to be able to stick around for the next 5 minutes and answer what I can while I'm here. So thanks again for joining me if you do leave the presentation. How do we handle gatekeepers? Great question. Rebecca, thank you for asking that. So when we talk to the gatekeepers, it does depend which industry. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, when I did this, the gatekeeper wasn't very aware of what was going on, so they weren't very educated. And nowadays, whoever's picking up the phone probably knows a lot more about the business than you might think. So again, that intro to, I call whoever picks up the phone, I ask who the decision maker, they say they're not available. Great. So then it's, Jane, or, I find out who I'm speaking with, and then I go, this is what I'm trying to reach them about. Can you let me know, do you use this kind of service now? Or is that are there other people there who do that? Because I'd really want to help your company about that. So the pitch to the gatekeeper can be helpful because sometimes they know things, they'll answer questions. They do want to solve the problem or redirect you because they don't want whoever the C-suite to know that maybe an opportunity came in that was of use to them, that they, screened by saying, no, you're not a caller. So again, I can train you on talking with the gatekeeper. Hey, this was fun. Better time to do the calls. Great question, Hala. Thank you. So it's all about reaching people. So I'm just going to generically say I like Tuesday mornings and maybe Wednesday afternoons. I find Thursdays people are very busy later in the week. Monday, a lot of people are in business meetings. Time of day, sometimes really early in the morning or end of day. It's all about when your prospect is there to reach, where they're not on the phone busy. So, if you're calling restaurants, it won't be from 12 to 1 or 4 to 5. It'll be from 10 to 11 in the morning or 2 to 3 in the afternoon. There's another point I wanted to make around reaching people or calling out at a time when they're there, but I can't remember it right now. So, great question. What day? Oh, yeah, seasons. I want to talk about seasons. So, right now we're doing a campaign for accounting, bookkeeping services. So, the timing is right to do that campaign because it is the season where people are doing accounting. Another thing there is that if, let's say you want to talk with someone in purchasing, it's unlikely, but it's possible. Or if you want to talk with someone in accounts payable, or that's your prospect you need to reach, do not call them on the 1st or the 30th because they're doing payroll or they're doing invoicing. So there might be times not to call. Certainly there's holidays, so you may not want to do that. I've had success Friday afternoons when people are still in the office working. So I guess it depends. But if I were to just give 2 times, it wouldn't be Monday and Wednesday like I put in my schedule. It would probably be the same thing, but maybe Tuesday, 10 to 11:30, and then Thursday, 1:30 to 3. So once again, thank you so much for coming, and please email me any further questions. And I really look forward to talking with each and every one of you. So, yeah, I hope all of the tools work for you. Okay, bye now.